Hey guys, this is Dio from Redamo Mobile Auto Detailing. Today we're doing a 1967 MG MGB. I'm going to talk about doing waterless details. Now, when it comes to waterless products, if you have access to water and you can use water, I'm a huge fan of that because that is the best lubrication when it comes to detailing your paint, trying to avoid scratching when washing and when drying. Using water when you're detailing the exterior of the car, especially with the paint, it's just the safest way to go. If you're forced to go to a waterless system like we are today, I'm going to show you the kind of safest way to get around that because there are some things to keep in mind. Now, when I did an initial inspection of this particular vehicle, I noticed that, not only are the gaskets kind of just worn out just from age, but there are actually gaps between the soft top and the body itself. So if I go into my regular, kind of song and dance, the interior would be completely saturated with water, and that's now obviously you have a huge issue that you need to deal with. So doing a 15-second, 30-second walk around, you can avoid so many issues. Because of those gaps, we're not going to be able to do a normal wash system. Now we're going to do that with the wheels. So just like you would do the wheels, when you're detailing any kind of vehicle. All right, so it's also a great time to talk about how to clean soft tops. So because again, we can't use, just regular water, we're going to do this a little bit differently. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean it first and then we're going to hydrate it. The waterless system that I'm using has two different kind of products in it, and I'll talk about that for a little bit. So I'm using an aerator. A lot of companies make them, but basically all it does is it doesn't require electricity or power wash or anything like that. It basically just pressurizes by just a pump, and then any kind of product that you put in there, it just sprays it out. It's pretty simple. But the two different products I'm using is Boost Winter Wash and the Frothy wash system, waterless system. So the Boost, basically, it's a winter wash. I'm not a big fan of the name because I live here in Florida and I use this product because what it actually does is it eliminates mineral deposits on your paint. So of course it's marketed towards people who are using, this product in the winter when they can't use water, and it helps kind of dissolve salt and road grime and all that stuff like that. But again, in Florida, with hard water, I use this product, and it's absolutely great in getting rid of magnesium and calcium and things like that are in the hard water from the faucets and stuff like that. So the winter wash, I understand the name. I understand where Larry Casilla, the owner of AMO, I understand where he was going, but I think that that name can get a little confusing to a lot of people because even though Florida doesn't really have winter seasons, even though you don't have winter seasons in Florida, you can still use this product. And then the Frothy is 20 times concentrated soap, so it's going to give you a lot of foam and a lot of lubrication when cleaning your paint to make it a little bit safer than just regular kind of waterless systems. Okay, so again, we can't, spray, this down, but what we're going to do, we're going to soak this towel down. All right. Okay, and then just gently, all we're going to do is just basically clean it. Okay, so we're just removing all the dirt and, everything that's kind of been trapped inside this. And then when we go to hydrate it, which I'm going to use lather for that, when we go to hydrate it, that it's basically an interior cleaner that I'm using, but it's good with plastics and rubber and trim, moldings, all that stuff, basically so it's not trying to clean all the dirt off. And you can just take a few seconds and just give this a quick wipe down. So now all the dirt is in here. So then what we can do is we'll grab another clean towel. Alright. Just so under here. Alright. soft bristle brush where it bores hair, and then just some kind of cleaner that's used for, you know, upholstery or interior. You know, will work just fine on this. So all you want to do, kind of spread around like this, and then you just take that brush and just anywhere where you see dirt, just get in there, kind of agitate it a little bit. And then what the cleaner will do is it lifts the dirt up out of the pores, and then you can remove it with the towel. What you want to do is you want to remove that dirt before this dries. So that way you're not just relocating the dirt from one area to another. So, and then on the seams, you just kind of at an angle, got a chisel. So if anything is stuck in there, you can get it removed. And then you take your clean towel, and then just any of that dirt that surfaced, there you go, that's in the towel. So you can tell we haven't done this yet. We've done this, so not only does it clean it, kind of hydrates a little bit, kind of helps with these creases a little bit. When you see these creases, it's because this is dehydrated, so it'll kind of help with that. And because this isn't a cloth or like a suede Alcantara or anything like that, hard top, we really don't need to worry about keeping this waterproof. So if you see some of the felt ones, you do need to, after a certain period of time, make sure that you start applying products to the soft top to avoid any kind of water leakage, because the factory protection on there eventually goes away. So that's what we're going to do to clean the top without using a bunch of water. That's the way that we're going to do it. So once we finish this up, then we're going to go to the paint. Alright guys, so we went ahead and we did the interiors. The interior is fully done. We went ahead and dropped the top down, cleaned it. We cleaned the plexi, the plastic for the windows, and went ahead and dropped it so that way we could get to certain access points that we wouldn't be able to access before because of the cover. So now we've got the full exterior exposed. So now we're going to go ahead and start with the waterless wash system. We're going to go top down. And then after we're done and fully done with the paint, we protected it because we're doing the protection is key package on this particular vehicle. Then we're going to drive it outside, and then we'll take care of the wheels. And that'll be the last thing that we do, and then we'll put it in the garage, all good to go. So now that we've got the interior done, go ahead and focus on the paint. All right guys, I gotta duck down because this car is so short, but I want to kind of explain a little bit when you're doing a waterless system, some things that you should keep in mind. Now, because we're doing the protection as key package on this vehicle, we're going to be claying the paint, which is much needed. The paint is completely full of contaminants. I don't think that there's been wax on here for quite some time, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that today. So when we're doing a waterless system, of course I've got the aerator, right? Obviously we're going to be using that. I've also got brand new, never been used before towels. I don't like to use used towels just because in case in the wash or whatever in the dryer it picked up something, right? This will completely avoid that. And then also using obviously brand new clay. Now I do keep clay that I've used that is dirty, and I'll use it for like if I've got to do like wheels, or if I've got to do like the undercarriage or something like that in a car, I can use that because it's no big deal. It's going to get dirty anyways. But when it comes to doing a waterless system, when I mean brand new, I don't mean like it's been sitting in the container for a little bit and hasn't been used. you know, where you've been maybe pulling pieces off, and your hands might have been a little dirty or something. I mean, like in the package, like it's absolutely brand new. And these are going to be the best way to avoid any kind of recontamination or anything that might be stuck to the pad or the towel or whatever dragging across the paint. So just something to keep in mind if you're having to do a waterless system. So now that we've kind of got those two things taken away, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take one brand new towel, and then of course most of you know there's a tag on there, right? Get rid of it. And then we are going to use one towel to clean the paint. We're going to use one towel to dry the paint. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean it on one side. Once we've cleaned the paint, then we're going to clay it. So we're going to re-lubricate the paint, we're going to clay bar it, and then we're going to use another one to dry it. Right? So, and just keep an eye on your towels and make sure that when you do pick up stuff, that you're flipping sides. I've talked about this in the other video again, the link's in the description, but the cleaning towel is the one that I'm going to be paying attention to the most because the paint's dirty. So every little pass, I'm going to be flipping this towel way more often than if I was just doing a regular wash, right, with a towel. Still flipping the towel, but with a waterless, you flip it way more often than 2 or 3 panels. You flip it like this hood. I'll probably use 1 full towel. So, you know, if I'm dividing this hood into 3 sections vertically and then 3 sections horizontally, I'm gonna use 1 side for each little square. You know what I'm saying? So, just again, just things to keep in mind. So here we go. So, I'll go ahead and do this in one take. So. I just want to show you how thick this soap is. See how thick that is? So basically what that's doing, again, is it's lifting all the contaminants up from the paint, right? And putting it into the foam. So when you take your towel, right? You take your towel, and again, what I'm gonna do is I'm basically just gonna take it, let the towel do the work. Remember when I talked about sections? So in there is all contaminants and dirt and things like that. So I'm done. This side's done. Go ahead, go that side, flip it. I'm not putting any pressure. I'm gonna let the towel do the work. All right? Boom, done. Flip it. Nice that side. Boom, done. Flip it inside out. Boom, done. Come over here. Now I need to lubricate this paint. Okay. But I want to show you. Okay. So you can see how dirty this is, all these specks, right? See? There might be a few more. We'll go back over it again. You see how clean it is? Okay, that's just from a few passes. And that speaks to 2 things. One, that speaks to obviously the product. Gotta give ammo, you know, props for sure. It speaks to the product and it speaks to technique. Now I know this seems absurd, right? Like this is so many towels, right? It doesn't make sense. It does. You wanna keep your car showroom worthy. This is for car shows, right? This is what you do. You become absurd, right? Like me, obsessed, fanatic, and you do things the long way around, right? Because at the end of the day, the long way around is the best way, whether you're detailing or driving, right? The long way around is gonna keep this paint from getting all scratched up and marred. And then because we're not using water, it's gonna keep our interior protected. This is not a car that it gets driven in the rain at all. It's a Sunday drive car, right? Top down, go on a Sunday drive when it's nice and sunny out. So I'm gonna go ahead, Same techniques and everything that's applied to that section that we just did, it's gonna go around the whole car, right? We're gonna do that. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna rehydrate the paint, and then we're gonna clay it. The reason why we do this is because our clay bar, we don't want to be picking up too much contaminants for the clay, that it overloads the clay and that some of the contaminants maybe don't go into the clay, right? Like they're supposed to, and they'll sort of start riding the surface, right? Because you've way overloaded the clay, like you would overload a pad when you're compounding or polishing, when you've got way too much clear coat in it and you overload that pad and then you continue to polish, you're actually gonna mar the paint, right? A whole other video. But when it comes to this, we want to get as many contaminants as we can off of the paint, so that way the clay can focus on the contaminants that we can't get, that are off the surface and they're actually in the pores of the paint, and we can pull those out safely without overloading the clay. So that's why we do it twice. So that's basically how to do it safely, you know, as far as a waterless system goes. Okay, so I just wanted to mention real quick, when it comes to areas that are near gaskets or areas that you don't want to get a lot of moisture in, right on the top. Okay, so we got all the paint taken care of. This is what we're, we're trying to prevent any kind of scratching. So obviously, it's the most sensitive, right? So we're gonna be really careful with it in those towels. Now we need to clean things that you can kind of be a little bit less, creepy about, whatever. Paint's way more delicate than like headlight lenses are, right? So you take care of all the paint first. Don't cross-contaminate. Don't start doing, especially like the rear and like the front bumpers, right? Don't do them first and then go up on the hood. You want to go top to bottom, and that way, because there's obviously less contamination, depending on the vehicle where you park, obviously everything's a variable. But this is a garage car, so obviously the top's going to be way cleaner than like the bottom, right? But if you park out, every day and there's bird poo all over the top, just be smart. But we're going to go top down. Now we're going to hit all the parts that are really dirty, but are things like headlight lenses and chrome and things like that. So same rule applies. It's just you don't have to be so freaked out about, do a little inch and then turn the pad or the towel. You can be a little bit more, kind of quick about it. So let me show you. A second. So you see all that contamination in there, and dirt and stuff like that. Okay. Now, there are a couple good ways to get that cleaned out that are safe. One would be compressed air, right? That could work. Another one could be steam. Now, when it comes to steam cleaners, I've been asked, can you do exterior details with steam? Yes and no, it depends on the situation. This vehicle, if you're trying to clean, like again, we're not trying to use water. So if you're trying to clean specific areas around the vehicle, the exterior, absolutely. That's a great option. And then another is just using a lot of lubrication with a really soft brush. Since we're doing the waterless wash, let's go ahead and do it this way. Okay, so when I say a lot, I mean a lot. I'm gonna keep that towel there to keep the extra. And all you want to do is just barely tap it. Basically, all you're doing is just getting that stuff, all that dirt and stuff like that, in the foam. So then you can wipe it down with a towel. Okay. But because we used so much lubrication, all those contaminants ran, they've lifted, because we put so much soap on here, it was actually above the emblem, lifted and then came off down the paint. So now that's clean. I think steam is great. It's perfect for what you're doing. You just have to be careful because again, steam comes with heat. So if you're using, steam on really old, emblems and things like that, the glue may not be that great. So it may peel off. So maybe not a great option on older cars. Air compressor, same thing, just depends on the situation. But with this one, I felt, I think it was a little bit better doing it this way. That's my take though. But anywhere, around here, around these bolts and stuff like that, same kind of thing applies, around the latch, the lock, same kind of thing, just real heavy amounts of lubrication, and then just kind of let that do the work and let that guide it off whatever area you're working on, and then you can kind of, clean it up with the towel. So just another thing to keep in mind, but I'll keep going. So here's where we're at so far. So paint looks a lot better, right? We're all cleaned up, okay? But we're not done. So we've cleaned it. Now, yeah, there's spots that we need to touch up, but this is not the final detail. This is the first draft. So now that we've cleaned the paint, right? Now we're gonna switch our gloves because we had stuff on our gloves. So when we grab this clay bar, we're not contaminating the clay. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock out two birds with one stone. This video is about how to use a waterless system when it comes to detailing your exterior safely, right? That's the video that I'm shooting this in, and this is a question I get all the time. Clay bars, and it's not just, it seems like it's not just DIY guys, weekend warrior guys, it's also professionals. You have to clay bar all the time. You never have to clay if you wax. You only clay if something lands on the paint and it sticks, or this or that. There's so many arguments and theories on when to clay. So let's first talk about clay. So clay was started in the 60s by Japan, and then it really kind of took off in the 80s in the United States. But it's just clay, that's all it is. It comes in different kinds of grades because clay is an abrasive. Don't think of it like polish. It doesn't remove scratches off your paint, but same way as like your fingertip is an abrasive, right? This is also it's a mild abrasive, right? So it comes in different grades. It can be more aggressive or mild or what have you. The purpose of clay is that when you wash your paint and you've cleaned it, right? Paint has pores like your skin does, right? And it flexes, right? It expands and contracts. That's what clear coat is supposed to do. When it's really hot outside, your clear coat expands, and when it's cold outside, it contracts. That way your paint doesn't crack, right? So it's breathable. Well, if your paint is not protected, if it doesn't have protection over those pores, when it's really hot and the clear coat expands and the pores are opened up, kind of like when you take a hot shower, right? Or just before you shave, right? Your pores are open, so when the paint's not protected, contaminants go inside the pores, right? And then it contracts, right? It expands and contracts thousands of times. Which is why water spots cause water spots. That's what happens. That's what's happening. The water is evaporating, leaving the minerals behind. The minerals go into the pores. The clear coat expands and contracts thousands of times, over days and weeks and months, years. And those minerals are in the pores and they're scratching your paint and causing the spots, which is what you need to polish, right? Okay, so I'm getting at, too deep into this. The point is, clay bar is designed to remove those contaminants from the pores of the paint. Because when you're doing a normal wash, you're washing the surface of the paint. You're not cleaning inside the pores, right? So this is designed to like peel blackheads, as Larry likes to do. And now he's Mr. Analogy, right? So, but that's a great way to think about it. It's just removing things underneath the clear coat surface, right? That's what this is for. So when do you use it? When needed. That's the answer. when needed. So how can you tell when you need it? There's a trick here with a sandwich bag. I gave Larry props for analogies, so this is Mike Phillips' prop. This is Mike Phillips from Auto Geek. He's the one of the directors there, and a really, really cool guy, and came up with this way of testing. And that is, and I won't be able to feel it because I have gloves on, obviously. But you do without gloves. You put your bare hand, inside of a plastic baggie, and you just gently, wow, even with a glove on I can feel it, you just gently glide the sandwich baggie over the surface. Something about this makes your fingers way more sensitive to any sort of changes in the surface, right? When you do your fingers, it just kind of, I think it just absorbs the bumps and things like that. But something about putting this over your hand enhances that feeling of those little bumps and particles and contaminants, right? If you feel those little bumps all over your paint, clay bar, right? If you don't worry about it. It's as simple as that. So when do you do it? When needed. It's literally that's the answer. So again, we're doing this in a waterless system, but you can use water. You can use when you're washing your paint. If you already know before you even wash your paint that you need to clay bar, you haven't waxed it in years or whatever, and it sits outside, you kind of know. Don't use liquid wax. Try not to use any kind of products because it's just a waste. There's way better ways of lubricating the paint to let the clay bar glide easily than using product. So if you know, use your soap that you would use washing your car, and wash the car first and get as many contaminants as you can off the paint, right? Then go back and re-foam or re-suds the car up, re-soap it up, then clay bar. Don't do it, at the same time, because then you'll have your clay bar just gathering way too many particles all at once. It'll overload the clay bar, and then you'll actually be taking those contaminants that you're removing from the paint and reintroducing them into the paint by dragging it across the surface, potentially causing scratches. So just be smart. So we're gonna go ahead and hydrate the paint. And then all you do is you just gently, see how it's sliding, right, the clay bar? That's what you want. And you're just putting your fingers on the clay. And you're just going back and forth, and you're letting the clay do the work. This is not a power thing, it doesn't need force. All it needs is lubrication, and the clay bar itself will provide the friction needed to remove those particles, right? And this is why I'm a bit advocate of doing everything by hand, because I can feel right here, it kind of catches and it drags a little bit more, right? What does that mean? There's contaminants there. Whereas over here, I felt it go away, right? And you can hear it, right? So you just kind of work this back and forth until you don't feel any kind of grab or any kind of friction, right? Where it just feels smooth as butter. Do a section, right? Check your clay bar, just like you would check your washment or anything like that. And then when it gets too much, flip to the other side, do that side. And you can actually knead these clay bars and twist them and turn them and things like that, and reuse these. These go for quite a while. But just keep an eye on the contamination level. Once it gets to a point, throw it away. These are super cheap, that's not a big deal. But anyways, that's what clay bars are used for. That's when to use them, how to use them. And like I said, this is a video inside of a video, so I'll put the description in the waterless system if you want to check that out. But anyways, just wanted to make a quick video about clay bar because I get a bunch of questions about these. So if you have any other questions pertaining to clay bar, feel free to jump in the comments. I try to answer all the comments on any video. You can either do that, or you can email me at dogreen@ymail.com, and I'll answer any more questions that you have about these. Thanks, guys. Okay, so we're back to this video. 2 birds, 1 stone. Good to go. So that's what we're going to do to the entire car, right? We're going to do this, and again, we're going to use a brand new towel, right? We're not going to reintroduce the dirt and the old towels back onto the paint. We're going to do brand new. So once we clay and we go, you know what, this spot right here, good to go, okay? We're going to re-put product onto the paint, right? Spray, 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 right? And then with the new towel, you do your sections again. Now, because there's not a bunch of contaminants on here, when you soak up an entire area, now you can go, like you can divide the hood into two. You can use one side of your towel for one, panel or two panels. You can, because I'm in a garage, I mean, you can be kind of, you can push the envelope way further, because we've not only cleaned the contaminants on the surface, but inside the paint as well. So you don't have to be so worried about contamination, you just need to be worried about lubrication, right? So that's where we're going. So we're gonna, again, go around the whole car. Before I forget to mention, I want to mention one thing. You can't really misuse this. You can use this incorrectly, but what I mean misuse is like you probably can't do damage to paint by improperly using this. Like if you had no idea how to use this, except one way, right? One major way. If you drop this clay bar, throw it away. I don't care if you can eat off of your floor. This is designed to grab everything, right? It's very tacky. So if you drop it and you get sand, dirt, anything into this clay bar, and you try to reuse it on your paint, you're gonna clean your car, you're gonna think you're the best detailer in the world. You're gonna pull that car out in the sun, and you're gonna realize that you have sandpapered your car. That is not extreme, by the way. If you drop this and you grab sand, and you put this back on your paint, you go back and forth, you might as well be using sandpaper. That's not what this is. If you drop it, throw it away. That's my number one rule with clay, as well as almost every detailer. It's so cheap. Throw it away. So anyways, just wanted to let you know about that. So here's what we're at so far. So we have used the waterless system, whatever product that you choose to use, and however delivery system. There's ones that comes in spray bottles, aerators, so on and so forth. Whatever delivery system you have for your product, lubricate the paint a lot. This is not a liquid wax. This is not a drying aid. You use a lot of it, right? If you're gonna go this way, either because of there's a specific reason, like in our case, or because just of trying to just get a real quick detail in 15 minutes, use a lot of product, right? So we really lubricated the product, or the vehicle's paint, and then we did our detailing cleaning technique with the towel, right? Real quick, real short swipes, and then we flip the towel. Then, once we got the whole car taken care of, we reapplied that same lubricant in the same amount, right? Same, using a lot of lubrication. And then we clayed the paint, removing all the contaminants from the paint, so that way the paint is completely naked and it's fresh and there's nothing in the pores of the paint. Now again, there's no wax on this vehicle. If you're trying to remove wax, you need to use some sort of wax remover or something that's going to take care of lipids and fats. That's what waxes are made of. So some kind of chemical that's going to remove lipids and fats. Whether that's a specific detailing product for that purpose, or whether that's Dawn dish soap. That's the only time that you would ever use Dawn dish soap when washing your car. Once you got that taken care of, now we've got the pores of the paint cleaned, and now we're going to wax the vehicle. So we're not doing our final details yet. We are now going to apply synthetic sealant. We're going to wrap the vehicle. That's going to fill in all of those pores in the paint, so that way when he's driving around going from here to Daytona, there's not going to be any kind of contaminants that are going to embed into the clear coat. They're going to hit that wax, they're going to stop, and then we can remove the contaminants from the wax instead of having to pull it from the paint and potentially causing scratches. So once we do that, then we go and we do all of our final details. We do our windshield, we do our chrome, we do everything, right? Once we do that, we pull it outside, we do the wheels, boom, 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 and we're done. So this is the full waterless system. I've got videos on how to, apply synthetic sealants and waxes and things like that, so it's not necessary for this specific video. But anyways, this should have covered everything about the waterless system. If you have any questions, for sure, in the comments below, It's probably one of the best ways to get a hold of me. I answer all of them. But if you want to reach me by email, dogreen@watermail.com is another way to get a hold of me. I appreciate y'all watching this video. I hope that this kind of answered some questions. And again, there's nothing wrong with doing a waterless system. It's just, if you need to, here's some safety things to think about without destroying the paint. But anyways, thank you guys so much, and take care. I'll see you out in the field.